looking at a 5,000 share order.
Hello, developers, and welcome to the very first DevSember. I am Stephanie Wong, and I am going to be your host throughout this month. So if you are wondering what DevSember is, you can think of it as your technical advent calendar. And we know that right now you're probably wrapping up your Q4 projects and starting to map out what you want to build in 2026. So for the next 4 weeks, we are going to unwrap a specific Google Cloud tool or theme every single week. And we'll be bringing you live demos, tutorials, and practical hands-on skills that you need to hit the ground running in the new year. So to kick things off, our theme for week number 1 is making a list and checking it twice. And we are dedicating this first episode to Gemini CLI. So we're going to be showing you how to manage your entire AI workflow from prompting to deployment without ever leaving your terminal. This is all about cutting out the context switching and staying in your flow state. Now, I can't do this alone, so I have brought in the experts to chat with me. So please welcome Amit Maraj, Billy Jacobson, and Taylor Mullen. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the stream.
Hi.
Why don't you all introduce yourselves? Let's go ahead and start with Amit.
Yeah, hey Stephanie, and hey to all our developers and builders watching. I'm super excited for DevSember. I've been working with Gemini CLI for like the better part of half a year now, and I can't tell you how much it saved my bum and getting projects done. So I can't wait to share some of that with you today, and I'm going to see if it can help with my final task of the year, procrastination.
I think everyone can relate here. How about you, Billy?
Hey, everybody. I'm Billy Jacobson. I'm a developer advocate here at Google. My focus is on data, databases, and AI. And the Gemini CLI has been super helpful in just helping me develop, be creative, solve problems on my computer. I'm actually going to show a little bit of development and a little bit of just how I have it help me with tasks on my computer and showing like the range of what it is capable of.
Yes, and we're super excited. We have Taylor here.
Hey everyone. So I help lead Gemini CLI across Google, and it's super fun. What a festive month for us to do this. And so I figured let's keep it a little festive as well. So I'll be showing off some extensions, some festive holiday themes, and some other pieces. Should be good.
I love all the holiday theme things going on. And we already have a ton of people joining into this live stream. We have Jack Smith, we have Willie here, we have US Mans of NY, hopefully I said that right, Olivier, we have Tab Geeks. We got a ton of people here, so thanks so much for joining across all platforms. We're gonna make this super fun today. We have a ton of holiday things going on. First of all, we have our amazing sweaters here. I brought mine. It's Get Lit, which is, I like to think it's one of the mottos of my life, so why not have it be holiday themed? And fun surprise, it lights up! Had to go for some element of surprise, right? So what about you all? What are you all wearing today?
Yeah, maybe I can get started. There's nothing fancy with mine. It's a bit nautical, but I was saying before stream that if I'm going to take my advice from anyone, it'll be from a sweater. So I'm so glad Stephanie's wearing one that I can get on board with today, because I think not only for this stream, but for the entire month, I'm hoping to get lit as well.
I hope we all are. How about you, Taylor? I see you have some kittens, some cats.
All right, so here we go. So I got a little bit of some cat awesomeness going on. I got, we have 2 cats. So I got a cat treat. Maybe we'll be lucky enough to see one of them hop up there during this stream. And so I figured there's no better way than to have festivities plus cats. Come on.
I hope we get to see them too. So please tell me you actually have Santa hats for them.
So it's kind of hilarious. We do have one outfit. One cat loves to wear their Santa hat, and maybe I'll get some pictures. I'll find out.
I love it. How about you, Billy?
Well, I do love your shirt, Taylor, but it is not a sweater. So we are going to need to fix that for next year. Next stream, we'll get that exact same shirt, but in a sweater format, which I think we can make happen. I'm wearing this blue and red striped sweater that a friend of mine actually designed in Brooklyn. Henry Zankoff. Shout out to Henry. He just got engaged. And I just love wearing clothes that my friends make and design. And I feel like these are like very festive colors, but they don't always go together. And it's like fun, mix it and match it. And I'm kind of like an off-brand candy cane today.
Hey, you can pull it off. The colors look great, and it also looks very cozy, which is very fitting.
Super, super cozy.
I love it.
Really, are you dropping hints for us to make you a sweater for next year? Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh,
Hey. Well, you don't have to do it. We'll have Gemini do it.
Yeah.
there we go.
But you can expense it for me.
Okay.
All right. Well, we are talking about Gemini CLI today. So, I mean, Taylor, you are the creator of Gemini CLI. So I think it'd be perfect for you to kick it off and talk a little bit about what the year has been like. I mean, it's been like an absolute rocket ship. So what has it been like?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, okay, if I'm recalling correctly, June 25th, we launched the world. And it has been up and to the right ever since then. Like, absolutely such a cool journey to be on. The team has been we deliver like, I think, 100 to 150 features and enhancements every single week. Definitely follow some socials if you haven't. We actually post about them pretty loudly on a weekly basis. And yeah, so it's been just a constant ream of like energy from open source and from us as well. Yeah, it's been a really, really, really fun year.
What are some of your top launches related? Because you just said everything's going out every week, all the time. So give us your top 5.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Let's see if I can do this chronologically. And so there's so many 5. Okay, I'm going to cheat a little bit here. So, okay, number 1, I think is probably GitHub Actions. For those who don't know, we released a way to integrate Gemini CLI into your GitHub action flow. So this can do anything from custom code reviews to triaging your issues. And for those who don't know, we actually have a ton of like love coming in from the community on our open source repo. And so that results in thousands of issues and lots of pull requests. So we really lean on AI in order to make it so that is like really, really successful. At least as successful as it can be. Next is custom slash commands. I feel like slash commands themselves, if you don't know, you can create these yourselves in Gemini CLI. This is in a commands folder under your .gemini directory. And you can have custom prompts, custom ways how to interact, like creating your own custom commit messages. We also integrated them with MCP servers. So if you have like a prompts endpoint on an MCP server, it'll also get translated into a slash command. Next, VS Code integration. I feel like not everyone knows that we actually have this VS Code integration, but it's so powerful. We find that so many people use it, where if you open up Gemini CLI in your IDE of choice, if it happens to be like a fork of VS Code or VS Code itself, it'll actually show you like a little install dialog to install our companion extension. It gives it access to your open files and a lot of other information along the way to make it more powerful. Okay, this is the cheating one. Gemini CLI extensions is going to be like the 4th one here. And now this is like a big bucket of like everything. So this is everything from having Google Workspace support to having Nano Banana and integrating like with your favorite database providers like Postgres and everything in between. So yeah, so CLI extensions just in general is a big thing. And then finally, number 5, Gemini 3. How can we turn that down, right? Gemini 3 is the big one.
Ooh,
So,
and
yeah,
I can't wait because we're going to see some of that in action today. Also, we're getting some love here on LinkedIn. Darren says that he uses the Gemini CLI GitHub action workflows all the time, and it's amazing. So I think some folks are agreeing with your top 5 here. I guess just to like bring it back in case folks don't know exactly what Gemini CLI is, how does this really help automate your workflows compared to, let's say, having a browser open and being able to just use Gemini in the browser?
Yeah, maybe I can start here. And a lot of this probably you'll see through the demo that Billy and I will be doing as well, and Taylor. But Gemini CLI can act as more than just a coding assistant. You can have it kind of browse through your files on through your operating system and have it do things for you. We'll kind of see a little bit of this through the demos, but you can imagine things like one of my favorite examples that I give and I actually used was went on vacation, took a whole bunch of pictures. And when you take pictures with a camera, names for those pictures come back as like IMG underscore blah, 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 which is non-descriptive of what's inside the image at all. And I am notoriously bad when it comes to organization. So I took all of my images, dropped it into a folder on my computer, and then I asked Gemini CLI to go inside each one of those images and rename it based on what's inside the images. And it did a really good job of doing that. And then on top of that as well, you can even create images now with some of the extensions, which we'll see a sneak peek of a little bit later.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I mean, I think we should just kick it off and see some of it in action. All of us, you've all built some really fun holiday themed examples here. So Billy, do you want to dive into your first one?
Yeah, I would love to. And this is actually such a perfect transition from what we were just talking about of, managing your set of files or doing things with your files and applications. Can everyone see my screen? Is that all good? Okay, perfect. So I'm just in my terminal, my regular terminal right now, and I've just got a ton of files in here. So I just want to show the first thing I'm going to do with Gemini is just like have it organize some of these files for me. I'm going to just open it up with Gemini. I'm using the Flash model here right now just because Gemini 3 is incredible. So many people are using it right now that I want to make sure everything's going to respond super quickly and I'm not hitting the super busy servers right now. So one of the first things I'm going to say is just organize my files for me. I've just got all these files in here. I want them maybe in some folders or something. It's like, how do you want to organize them? Let's just do it by file type. And this is exactly what Amit was talking about. It's like, just let it run some of this stuff. And here's the first prompt I'm getting. It's asking a few questions to get a little bit more information. And now it's asking, can it run a command for me? So this is a great way to know, like, can it do this thing? Is it safe? Do I approve it? I'm going to always allow it to run the make directory command, because I know I'm going to need a bunch of directories. Although it's so much smarter than me because it's doing it all in one go. And I'm like, I didn't know you could do multiple make directories in one go. And then I'll allow it to move everything.
It is kind of nuts, right? Like it's like being able to actually utilize shell commands, which are historically just this arcane syntax that everyone has had to figure out. Now LLMs are able to kind of weave this all together. Super cool.
Yeah, and I'm going to show quick that it organized them. I just used ! to enter the shell mode, so you don't have to even exit the Gemini, just run like a basic shell command. I'm just going to ls. Now I've got my data files, images, text files, all that stuff. Super great and clean to go. Now I know in one of these files I did have my holiday shopping list. So can you find my holiday shopping list, please, and tell me what's on it? I'm also using voice to text, which has been a really fun new discovery for me because it just makes my life so much easier, especially doing a live demo. I can just say it out and then it goes right in there. And I use a mix of a local model and Gemini to help with that. So I have actually my gifting list of just some things that I know people in my life want or like, but I haven't decided on the gifts yet. So what I'm going to have Gemini do is come up with the gift ideas for me. And then I'm going to use the Nano Banana extension to generate an image with all of these gift ideas. Let's see, I did write this prompt out already because I wanted to do a bunch of different things. So I'm going to load that up. I actually have the Gemini extensions page, so you can even see some of these things. Or what is it? Not extensions. What's the thing I'm looking up? Nano Banana. So you go to the Gemini extensions. There are 192 extensions. Every time I look, there are more. You just go here, grab Nano Banana, click it, and install, and it's good to go.
What's Nano Banana?
This is a great question. Nano Banana is the latest AI model from Google for creating images and modifying images. It is so fast, so cool how just like the depth of images created. It popped up on my image, but I'm only sharing my terminal, so I'm going to actually quit out of this to show the image. It happened so quickly. So it recommended to get one of my friends who likes cocktails of this cocktail kit, and my parents who love coffee. This little coffee.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I've got a 7-month-old niece who's so cute, Lucy. So I think this will be a little play mat for her. And then of course Evan, huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. So I don't know what this is. Yeah, let's see what it's at. I recommended all these things. So there's a a vintage Buffy the Vampire Slayer poster. Okay, I think that's what that is. It's a wrapped up poster. So now I know how I might even wrap it up.
I love the baby gift really ties it all in well.
Yeah, definitely.
So wait,
these are just
it took all of your ideas, expanded on those ideas, and then created an image from it in like a split second. Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, it all happened so fast. Let's scroll up a little bit just so you can see, because it worked.
Wild.
It actually went so much faster than I was even expecting. So it came up with the gift ideas based on these things. So I know my parents like walking, coffee. So it was like, what about an insulated travel mug? And then they can walk and have their coffee. That's like so smart. So it's still, I love getting to use AI in a way that like amplifies your humanness. Because I think it's easy to be like, just come up with gifts for my parents. And I'm like, oh, these are things I know they like. Help me expand upon that and come up with an idea and be more creative there. And then so it came up with these ideas and then said, now I'll create an image with these gift ideas. And it'll aim for a festive flat lay style. And then it called this Nano Banana MCP server and generated this image for us.
And I have to say, like the makeup, like the actual organization of how it put all these things, like you have the big baby toy in the middle there. It really makes the whole, it just feels like a great picture.
Yeah, super, super cool. So another project I've been working on, if I think we can move on, is I've been playing around with just throwing together a little holiday village builder game. Let me run this here. So I was like, I want to be able to throw some trees down. What are these? Some snow on the ground. I don't know. I feel like I love just like a calm. It's not a game per se, but it's just like a chill vibe. Put on some music, make a little holiday village kind of thing. And I found all these nice like little graphics to play with. So this game works great, but I thought it'd be really fun if I could play it with some friends. Creative holiday village with other people. And I'm going to use the Gemini CLI to amplify this game to do that. Let's go in. Gemini. I'm going to use Flash again. I think that will be better here. And we were talking about custom slash commands. And one of the custom slash commands I've got is the /Firebase init command. So this is going to help bring Firebase onto my project. And this is going to give me two things. It'll give me a way to host this application easily so I could share it out with everyone on the stream and we could all play together. And I'll get access to Firestore, which is our document database. It has real-time syncing. It is just so developer friendly and great to work with. And I'm going to initialize Firebase in this app and then also just ask it to put Firestore syncing into this so we can play in real time. I think this might take
calling out. It's worth calling out too, like that Firebase init, right? I'm assuming you install the Firebase extension, and that's what's lighting that up to make it so that it can use this, which kind of shows you kind of the power that extensions kind of can enable rather in your experiences.
So and I think you chose Firestore specifically because it has that real-time sync, right? So like if I wanted to put a tree on your snow, I could do that from my computer at the same time and it'll be reflective.
Yeah, that's just such a fun, easy way to like demonstrate like how you're connecting with people with the database. You don't have to add any polling or like managing the state. It's just super easy for that. And it scales really well. So if you get 1 million users, you can all be playing. I mean, probably not on the same board. You might have to have separate rooms or something for that, but definitely a lot to do. So I'm going to go play around with this a little bit, but I want to show one more thing here is when you're, when I was having it rearrange my files, it asked me for permission for things, and that's really good. But when you're deploying servers, when you're setting up databases or dealing with things with data, you might want to, I could click allow all the tools from the Firebase server and let it go and run off and be free. But it's nice if you want to say, maybe run this tool once or always allow that init command. The Gemini CLI is really good about asking for permission, consent to do certain actions. So it's not going to go off the rails and just do whatever, delete your database, unless you really do give it free reign. So this is just one way you can start thinking about how you're going to use this CLI for maybe something in production is just being really cautious about what you're allowing it to do with each stage.
So you can control exactly how much leeway you want to give it, but you also have, what is it called, YOLO mode? If you just want to say, hey, go off, it's allow every time. I love the name, YOLO mode. Taylor, I feel like the whole entirety of Gemini CLI has really quippy, fun language. Like even when you're waiting, it has like really fun messages that it's sending about like magic and fireballs. And like, did you come up with these names?
So, okay, Gemini was the creator of these names, and it's been incredible, right? Like we have so many jokes that kind of are in some of these loading phrases, and YOLO mode because you only live once, right? Like if you're doing it, like you're living on the edge. For a fun little note for folks, we have a great tutorial video in the help dialogue. If you ever want to check out more on YOLO mode itself.
I love it. Why not have fun with it, right?
Yeah, I'm going to keep working on this a little bit. And also, I'm locking down these API keys after this stream and deleting this project. So I know I've leaked the keys, everybody,
No
but I
funny
will be
business.
deleting them. So don't worry.
Thanks,
All right,
Billy.
Amit, do you want to take these, or Steph, whoever wants to keep things going?
Let's do it. Maybe we can answer a question or two before I jump into mine. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
We've got some good questions. All right, so let's see. We got some questions from like Sarah here. When setting up the environment on a fresh Mac OS machine, is it better to install the Gemini CLI using a package manager like Homebrew or directly via NPM?
I would say today, the biggest thing to do is always use NPM today. We actually don't control the Homebrew one, for which most people see. We're working on that. So this is a real, again, we have a really avid community, and they track our releases left and right to kind of manage the Homebrew install. So definitely NPM is what I'd recommend.
All right, good stuff. Okay, we have a question from Shrish Rashmala. Is it okay to vibe code apps in a corporate setting?
So I guess I'll take that one too. I'd say, I guess I'd actually love, like Brian, I'd love your take too after this, but I'd say absolutely. We all have to start from somewhere, right? All ideas start from like a little like grain, they kind of grow and blossom into something more. And so I think vibe coding is a really key part of that. What do you all think?
I can talk about this a little bit too. I think there's this balance of like reliability and customization. So, if you're gonna vibe code a tool that can help your team work faster, maybe you're like a team of 5 or 10, and you've got a bit of friction in maybe the way you're working or something. Yeah, ask Gemini CLI, code us a little app that can do this thing. Or like I was working on something to like transcribe a podcast. And I was like, yeah, make me a little app that can transcribe this podcast. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, I'll tinker with it a little bit more. I'll throw it out. There's some nature of disposable code with vibe coding. And I think for a disposable project, it can be really useful. I think when you're getting into something you're going to maybe put into production or be like sending out to the broader organization or giving to customers, you want to have more control over it. So figuring out what is that balance of letting the AI do some work and then reviewing it and finding that right balance of not letting it do everything, but still maintaining control and allowing yourself to work quickly.
Yeah, those are both great points. And then maybe I'll speak to it from a data residency perspective, right? Because if you are coding for your organization and you're putting something into production, the code that you write, if you are, vibe coding, you may be vibe coding some new code in a pre-existing production commercial database or code base rather. So if you are writing code and sending it to a model that exists on the cloud, there may be some data residency and compliance challenges. But Google offers a great variety of open models that you can download on your local computer and run locally to help you code as well. So from that perspective, obviously, Billy and Taylor have spoken really and covered a lot of the points with respect to writing code using vibe coding for production and for your personal projects or just kind of prototype type projects. But when it comes to data residency and compliance, just make sure that you're following your organization's standards.
One last thing. I think there's a way to vibe code and just kind of go willy-nilly and just let it go off, right? There's also a way to vibe code responsibly, which is you're tracking it, you're realizing when you're going from prototype to real, right? And so for instances, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that's a not important point, but that's a good sweater idea. Vibe code response. Yeah,
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
We'll get it for the next episode. All right, one more question before we move on. So I think this is a great question. Is Gemini CLI totally free?
Yeah. So here you can log in with your Google account, right? Just log in and boom, you can access Gemini CLI fully for free. Now, granted, like you won't get as much quota, like you won't be able to use 2.5 Pro as much, but there's so much Flash usage. You're gonna get so much out of it. Like we were just watching Billy like go ahead and like pull it all together with Flash, right? Like you can go really, really far with that. But if you pay as well, you get more of like 2.5 Pro, or you get more of 3, and everything in between.
Great. No reason not to get started. All right, Amit, let's go on. Show us what you've built with Gemini CLI.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's dive right in. So I'm gonna just share my screen really quickly here. Okay, so what you'll see on screen is my project setup. So I have a very bare bones idea to help me hopefully solve some of my procrastination this holiday season when it comes to buying gifts. So I'm notoriously awful when it comes to not only gift ideas, but also being on time to get gifts. So came up with this idea, maybe I can use Gemini CLI to help me with it. So I scribbled down all of my random ideas into this like features file. And you'll notice here that within the project that I'm working in, I just have that one file on top of some configuration settings in the Gemini.md file, and then my .env file. Unlike Billy, I'm hoping to not expose that, but all that's in there is the API key that I'll use to end up deploying this, which you could also use as well if you do deploy this. But you can run this locally if you'd like, similarly, without having to deploy it anywhere, which you would then need an API key for. So what I'll firstly do in my terminal is run Gemini with Flash. We'll use the same model that Billy was working with. And then I've written down the prompt already, so I'll just grab that really quickly. And all this prompt says is to create a PRD, a product requirements document, and create a new .prd.md file based on what it sees in the features.md file that I've already created. And remember, this is just kind of like my messy thoughts being put into a features.md file. You'll notice here, one really nice thing is that the features.md file is syntax highlighted here. This is because you can reference files within the prompt of Gemini CLI, and it'll know exactly how to find that file, and you can instruct it on what to look at. So if you, for example, myself, I know that it should find all the information for crafting this PRD inside of the features.md, I would point it to that. So anyways, I'll run this really quickly. And you'll see here that within a brief moment, it'll create a PRD for me that I can then use to actually run and create an application. So the goal here is to create a web application that I can use to help me come up with gift ideas, associate gift ideas with people in my life, and then also, continue ideating, setting budgets and things like that. So within a brief moment, you'll see here it's actually done. It came up with this really comprehensive, long text file that includes all of the pieces of information that I need to create my application, including some technical details and a couple other things as well. So the next thing I'll do here to continue this train is I'm going to exit out of Gemini CLI and then relaunch it with Gemini 3 Pro. The reason I want to use Gemini 3 Pro here is because Gemini 3 Pro is really good at coding. So I want to make sure that I'm using the best model I have available to make the application for me, because this next prompt, within just 2 brief prompts, I can get to a point where I can make the app, right? So I'm going to tell it, create the application for me based on what's in the, and then you can type the @ symbol and then the PRD, and it'll autocomplete here. You'll see here, if I don't type anything, it'll give me all the files in the directory. And then I press enter. So what I'm going to do here is Gemini 3 Pro is really good at coding, but obviously, it could take some time to build this application. So what I'll do now is I'll toss it back over to Billy, and while this is building, he can continue his demo.
Okay, cool. I also I love the features MD and the PRD MD. I think those are really smart ways to make Gemini CLI work even better. I actually have in my settings for the Gemini CLI, I have a set of instructions that I've put, and you can configure this in in your Gemini.markdown file. There are instructions for how to do this. And I say, every time you're making something, write out a PRD or a product requirement stock of all the features that you think are going to be in there, and keep this up to date as we have our conversation. And I find it really useful to if I want to rebuild the whole thing, I'm like, okay, I don't really like the approach it did, or I want to start over from scratch, I can still take that PRD and just use it again. And it's really helpful because it makes you think, well, what are all the features I need? What are requirements? What are non-requirements? Because sometimes these LLMs will they really make a lot of assumptions on how they're going to solve a problem. And I think we are engineers and have opinionated ways about how we'd want to do it. So it's a balance of letting it do things and being smart about what you're telling it to do explicitly.
I think like that, like, it was really interesting there. Like we saw like Flash was used to build the PRD, right? And then like that's almost instantaneous. Flash is so fast. And then like being able to swap over to kind of implementation mode. And by the way, plan mode is coming to Gemini CLI. That is something that is like hopefully by the end of the year, we're going to have this. But the reason we haven't done it yet so far is because you're able to curate your workflows just like everyone here is doing. And we've seen people build extensions for actually adding plan mode sorts of things, which is really cool. People have gone really far with it.
Yeah, I think even as a reminder, it's like, the Gemini CLI, when did this come out? Like a few months ago? It's like everything, all of this stuff is still so new. Like we are living in the future with all these tools. MCP came out in like April. And now it's like a basic term that everyone's using. I think it's a good reminder of like there's so much happening so fast, and it's really cool to like stay on top of it. That also there are so many different layers of like what people are actually doing. All right, I've got my stuff deployed out to Firebase and got it synced with Firestore. I did have to do a little bit of prompting. What did I have? I said I got it working. It got it working locally with Firestore for me, which was great. And then I asked it to deploy. I said, "Fabulous! Can you deploy it to Firebase?" I feel like I'm always just being really nice to my LLMs. It deployed it, and then it did deploy it, but it didn't like go to the right URL. So it's like, oh, can you actually? I literally just pasted in. Here's the error. It says the hosting setup is complete, and you've set it up. But I'm like, that's not actually what I wanted. And it debugged it and found the right directory and moved it all around. I don't know too much about what happened. I don't really care. And that's the nice thing about vibe coding stuff like this. So where is this? So this is my Firestore database. So this is the live data that's in here. We can go to, I have so many versions of this open. We've got the Holiday Village Builder. So now I can put some trees in here, but then if I go hands-free, I think other people in the chat are able to put some trees in or put whatever other tiles in if they want. Should be working. Amit, get planting, please.
I'm trying to find this, trying to see the URL.
Yeah, I'll show this link in the chat to you all. I think I can also just open it up in another window so I can also show like the syncing. Okay, yeah, now someone's doing it. And so as this is all happening, all of this data is being updated in Firestore in real time. So we can see, okay, we've got, these are the trees, the IDs, the location, all this stuff. And like, I don't know, this was so quick to put together. I built this entire front end and app with Gemini 3 in the Gemini CLI. All these images I found from like an open source image library of a bunch of sprites, which is why they all have these weird names. Because unlike Amit, I didn't get around to renaming all my image files with nicer names. I think if I click clear, it'll like.
All my good work is gone.
I'm sorry. You'll have to keep making more.
I was like spelling my name out.
It's really like finding the right balance of what tools are you going to use? How are you going to combine them all? I was even playing around with the AI Studio, which was really fun. And that makes some really beautiful like AI apps. So it's all kind of like trying different stuff out, making it work and constantly iterating and, not forgetting your like first engineering principles of come up with the design or come up with the plan, execute it, iterate, adapt, build feature by feature. But even with this, it's like we're able to all build a little holiday village together. I love like the moving feature. It added so many features to this, some of which I asked for and some of which I didn't. And I'm like, this is great. I don't even know what will happen if you click the save to cloud button, and I don't want to know.
It's just like, we think you need this. Well, I want to bring in a couple of comments actually from the live stream. So Angelo here says that he loves using .md files as a local memory store. Very helpful, especially when trying to keep track of thousands of files and facts as data points to keep in context. So I think it's a fan favorite. And I also, it really helps to make your workflow much more efficient with the help of AI. So good tips there.
I also noticed through the .md files and what Billy and Taylor had mentioned is that when you do when you get into this kind of zone of documenting through MD files, it inherently creates self-documentation for your project. So you can kind of backtrack and see where you went wrong or what you can change. And, if someone asks you a question about how this project was made, it'd be like, here's a bunch of MD files, figure it out yourselves. So.
Yes. And then just in terms of like how to prompt, Jennifer here says, I treat it as if I'm giving instructions to any human and generally end up with expected results. I haven't experienced hallucinations because I am a detailed explainer, but this is the case of my ordinary life. I over-explain everything, even to AI. So Billy, you're super nice to AI, and she is over-explainer, but everyone has their own style.
Yeah, one thing I'm trying to work on is adding better memory as part of the AIs that I'm working with. I was just at this conference, like the AI Native DevCon. It was like in Brooklyn, and there were so many talks about context engineering, memory management, and I think this is going to be my focus for 2026 is how do you integrate that memory into your data, into your databases, bringing it all in, connecting with MCP, and figuring this all out. It's, again, all this stuff is so new, and we're all figuring out the best practices, the best ways to do it with all these different tools. And it's a really fun playground that we get to be in right now as developers.
Exactly.
And it's kind of interesting too, right? It's like people use so many different AI tools these days, but it's how you use them really matters, and every AI tool is a little bit different. It's like if you hold a hammer upside down, it's probably not going to work so well. Honestly, the same thing is true with AI tools, right? So I think like even just showing how like people here like building out a plan first and then implementing, that's a big deal. It makes a big difference.
Yep, simple step, but super important. All right, Amit, should we pass it back to you? Do you have more to show here?
Yeah, sure. Let's take a look at this the app that I've got going here so far. So I'm going to switch over to my other screen. One sec. Okay, great. So I've prepped it already because Billy was demoing, so he gets one on our list. You'll see here this app that it kind of came up with from scratch. I think it did a pretty good job in my opinion, but we can try out some of the features. So we'll add the whole cast here. That's stuff.
I definitely want gifts, Amit. I saw you did an unboxing of some Gemini 3 merch on LinkedIn yesterday, and that would definitely be a great gift for me.
We'll see if the Magic Finder can find that one for you, but no promises. I think the main goal here is to get Taylor's sweater first, and then we can move on.
Okay. I agree with those priorities.
So anyways, I select a friend here. Steph, what do you want this holiday season?
All right, I have been super into K-pop Demon Hunters recently, dressed up as Rumi for Halloween, so I can't get enough. Let's go with that.
Okay, great. So K-pop Demon Hunters, yeah, both of my nieces actually this Halloween season dressed up as Rumi. Both of them, they're both sisters, and they both dressed up as Rumi. So
good choice.
I can't even blame them. It was a good movie. So you can see here, it actually goes out onto Google, finds a bunch of different helpful gift ideas for you, Steph. See if any of these sound interesting to you. A K-pop light stick customized with subtle demon warding sigils. What do you think about that?
I mean, yeah, we got to fight off the demons, right? Like this is the whole point. They're all around us.
Whatever. Let's just add them all in. Billy will buy it for us. No problem. Yeah. We can just X out of here really quickly, and we'll see it goes ahead and adds everything for you already. It's pretty cool. You can create new ideas here as well, but there's a couple things that obviously are not working. For example, it doesn't pull in the price, right? That would be pretty nice. I think if we open the Magic Finder, it only pulls in the suggested ideas, which I think is fine. That's all I put in my features to begin with anyways. I didn't ask it for price and description. So, it's kind of doing what it needs to as the first step. And then I can go back into Gemini CLI and be like, okay, listen, let's add this one feature where you pull in the price and the description and maybe a link to the actual product as well, so I can go ahead and purchase it. Billy, what are you into?
I really love good coffee.
Okay, good.
Oh, you know what? I need a new hat. I feel like I need a refresh of a hat.
New hat.
I definitely don't need more sweaters. In fact, I brought 3 sweater options for this today, and I
so you need to donate some to
bring them
Taylor
out on camera because I just can't have the I can't leak all my all my secret sauce.
Only API keys, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I'll leak an API key, but not my sweater collection.
Never the sweater though, never.
Yeah, the important stuff. Okay, cool. These seem pretty sweet, actually. So, well, yeah, I came up with like a 3-month subscription to Roaster's Choice, which I think probably I'll add for you. It's interesting. It added more coffee stuff than hat stuff, but it does have this beanie, so maybe we'll add that in too.
Is it a coffee beanie or just a regular beanie?
That's a good pun. I didn't actually like pick up on
colored.
Yeah, until you said that. I like that. I'm a sucker for a good pun. And then Taylor, what about you? I don't want you to feel left out, so we'll add one.
So we all know that I need sweaters, right? Like this is, I think this is a requirement here.
Okay, Taylor,
and hold on. It has to be a cat sweater. A cat Christmas sweater, obviously, is the requirement here.
And it's got to be tailor made.
There we go. Let's make it punny.
Okay, a cat sweater.
I'm feeling lit with these puns.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I'm
we should bake these into the loading phrases for Gemini CLI.
Yeah, honestly, I'm just gonna alter the Gemini.md prompt to make sure these puns. Anyways, you can see here, yeah, it comes up with like, whoa, cartoonish portrait of Taylor's specific cat. I feel like you'd want that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Ultimate cat comfort. Let's go. Okay, we add those in. Great. So now we've got all of this in here, and yeah, pretty sweet. I think like it did a pretty good job of like giving me, and then I can also add a new idea. Let's say K-pop Demon Hunter DVD. Yeah, how much are DVDs nowadays? Like $20?
They're probably like vintage items. So yeah.
Yeah, gone the way of the floppy disk, I guess. But wonderful. Yeah. So it seemed like it worked from just a couple simple prompts. So I'm going to stop that here. Maybe I'll add while I pass it over to Taylor, or we take a couple more questions. I'll add a few more features to see how it does.
All right. Do you want to answer a few questions and then we'll pass it over to you, Taylor?
Let's do that.
All right. Okay. We have one question, which I think is great. How does vibe coding fit into the software development lifecycle? I think this is kind of related to what we talked about, but how does it work for your workflows?
Yeah.
I'll speak to Gemini CLI at the very
Sure.
least. I can't remember the last time I personally wrote tests, if that makes sense. So I will advise and I will make sure things are tested in the right way, and I'll make sure that the right structure is in place. But I'll add oh my goodness, being able to test everything to make crazy amounts of code coverage. How do you go wrong with that? Being able to actually have CI checks that make sure things semantically make sense. Holy cow, and unlock code reviewing. If anyone who's actually contributed to Gemini CLI, we have an automated code review flow that goes through. It helps you kind of get your PR into the best possible state. Honestly, I'd say it fits into every piece of it. And this doesn't mean it fully replaces it. It means it makes it quicker. For the code reviewing one as an example, we make it so that by the time that we get around to looking at the PR, it's in a really good state for us to kind of merge things in faster and more efficiently. So those are some of them for me.
Related to that, I Am Geoc asks, can Gemini CLI support reusable workflows?
Billy, I think you're muted.
I'm muted. I feel like the extensions are a really good way for reusable workflows, and I think building your own. So an extension, I kept hearing about these extensions and I was like, what is this? This seems so new and interesting. It's I feel like I just learned a new tool. I don't want to have to learn another one. And then I realized that the extensions are just 3 of the existing things packaged together. So an extension is an MCP server. It is a set of kind of custom instructions, and then it can also be a set of / commands. And I feel like you could, and it doesn't have to be all 3 of them. It could be mix and match. And I feel like setting yourself up with an extension for your workflow is probably a really good way to do it. And you can share it out with your team. So maybe set a custom / command that everyone on your team is going to use. And then you could put it on GitHub, share it out as an extension, and then everyone on your team has access to it and it can refresh and reload. I feel like that's one of the places I see a lot of possibility there for reusability in a workflow.
Yeah.
That's a big deal too, by the way. Internal to Google, for those who don't know, There's so many extensions created for all of the teams here who work. Like people will build team specific extensions. We even have team specific extensions, like for running our benchmarks, right? Like we have specific things that will analyze results and do a lot of stuff for us on our behalf. We have extensions that will make it so it's easier to code review things. So many pieces. I love that responsibility.
Yeah, and then along those lines too, I think I alluded to this a little bit during my workflow, but the Gemini.md file is a configurable kind of project level setting or like user wide setting markdown file that you can use to informative certain things. So if you have best practices that you like to adopt for while you're writing code, for example, make sure that all of your front ends are purple, this color scheme is purple, then you would include that in your Gemini.md file. And then every time you write code, it'll make sure it references all of those rules before it actually goes out and does something.
Nice. We got some love from the comments here too. Boxy ML says Gemini in the command line is amazing for iteration. Lots of oops, I made an error. Gemini, where did I forget the comma? I think all of us can attest to that. All right, Taylor, you got some cool stuff to show, so let's pass it over to you.
Cool. All right. So what should I show? So, okay, first off, there was this latest thing made by Jack Weatherspoon. He is one of our superstars on the Gemini CLI DevRel team. And he went ahead and created this nice little holiday theme bundle. And what better time to share something like this than with all you? Now, this is I think it's actually landing in today's build, if I recall correctly. And so you'll be able to do /theme and pick holiday. But until then, we've talked a lot about how Gemini CLI is fully customizable, right? So I kind of wanted to show, like, it's a starting point. You can actually create your own themes. So I've actually done this. This folder is actually fully empty. I have like this .gemini folder, and that's about it. And in here, there's a settings.json file. In the settings.json file, I just have a UI. It has a theme called holiday, and I describe it, which means if I were to run my Gemini right now, you're going to see my amazing festive theme. Which is kind of cool, right? Like it's pretty glorious. Like, honestly, there's even one of these things here. Like if I quit, it even applies to the exit screen, which I absolutely love. Actually, let's go back into there. But as a starting point, this is going to be enabled for everyone here. So if you do /theme, which I don't know if folks know about this, so you can actually pick your theme to pick the thing that works right for you. And so there will be a holiday one in here, I think, in today's build. And if it's not today's, so it's next week's build. But it's it's the month. It's great. So okay, so next piece is now that we have a theme that we can actually show stuff off on. I wanted to show a little bit about extensions. Like we talked a lot about this today, and I wanted to kind of be super clear that anyone can create an extension. Like anyone can. And all it requires is for you to have something that's on GitHub. So this is a person, John Capiviano, does some really, really cool Gemini CLI work and other things on socials, has made this vision extension. And this extension is, it's just a repo on GitHub. The fact that makes an extension is the fact that it has this Gemini extension.json file in the repo itself. And this gives Gemini CLI access to Nano Banana. Again, like this is a different Nano Banana extension, mind you, to VO. There's actually some sign language stuff here as well for interpretation, which is really, really cool. And of course, one of the really cool things is also enables it to actually access your webcam. So I figured we had talked a lot about how I don't have a sweater and maybe my background is not very festive. So let's see if we can fix that, right? So, okay, let's start here. And we're going to say, okay, take a picture of me. And we're going to start here. Oh, actually, I'm not using Gemini 3 for this. This is oh no, good. I actually figured out to use Flash. That's fantastic. So
Taylor, we gotta get you into voice to text. That way, when you're demoing, you can just
I like this. I think I should do that.
I'll set you up with it after.
I have the thing locally on my Mac where I can actually enable it. It's okay-esque. I really like Google Cloud speech to text though. I think I did a demo on that before as well. But, okay,
there's some really good local models. I'll show you. All right, continue with your demo. Derail.
Oh no, I love that. Like honestly, speaking is so much more. It's so much easier, and this is the one thing I actually love with LLMs. Is it doesn't matter if you have certain filler words. It doesn't matter if you go off the beaten path. They're really good at kind of deriving the context that matters for you and doing the right thing. So I think it looks like I see my camera lights on. It looks like it's going to try and capture. I'm going to do a good smile. Camera not open. Okay, so the camera's not open for this. I see it's specific to the terminal. Okay, so we're going to start the camera. There we go. Camera's now opened. Now it's going to try it again. Let's smile again. And this is one of the cool things, right? Like it's able to actually course correct. It saw that like I had a camera open because of course we're streaming. You see me here, but it wasn't available to my terminal, and so it went ahead and it fixed that. So let's actually look through here and let's see this nice little thing that it opened up. So I'll do this, and that's pretty glorious. Love it. Not so bad. We're gonna find out. Oh my gosh!
Hey, you're so photogenic, Taylor. What the heck?
This is my new profile picture, right?
Yeah, and you got both the cats in the frame. Great framing.
That was itself an accomplishment. Let's be serious. Okay, so now we have a picture of me. Let's go ahead and let's make my background festive. Let's go ahead and do this piece. And so the just here is I have a nice little cat tree. Oh, look, so now it's using Gemini 3 Pro Preview. Let's actually see if it's able to do this. Just because given how slow things have been, we see some, people have loved Gemini 3 so much. It's been so humbling where we are struggling to keep up with the demand with all this. So it might take a little bit here. If so, I'll swap over to Flash and I'll do the same thing. For this, but it's been so humbling just seeing all the energy coming into to Gemini CLI and every other product at Google that's doing this. And look, it's rickrolling my boss. Yes, that's true. Okay, so it's gonna take a little bit. I'm actually gonna swap over to Flash for this for the specific thing. So let's do model.
This is a great way to show how to swap over to the different models.
Thank you. Yeah,
you're just setting yourself up for a great demo.
Pro as well for this. And so that just as simple as that, I'm now using Flash. Kind of cool, right? So, okay, it's going to use Nano Banana as part of this vision extension that John Capiano made. And it's going to create something for me. And ideally, hopefully we have a festive background here. So let's do open. Oh, that is not how I spell open. Open this. That's pretty cool.
Wow.
Am I right?
Wow.
That looks great.
Yeah, so okay, I didn't get the sweater part. I could have asked you a sweater, but I want to make sure I have enough time for everything else. What are we doing on time? Okay. Hold on. Let's try and give me a sweater. Give me a festive sweater too instead of a t-shirt. We're gonna see if it's able to kind of go ahead and take this one bit. So we're now iterating right on this picture, and let's see if we're able to do it.
I don't know. I don't really like this. I wouldn't know what to get you anymore if you had a sweater. Yeah.
This is like a mission to get Taylor a sweater.
Yeah, you see, this is the thing. And now I just gotta ship this. Hey, I got a sweater.
That's great. It's missing the cats, but that'll be for next. See, Amit, you can still get the cat sweater.
Yeah, still plenty of opportunity.
Yeah, I think these are all options here. I guess it would have been hilarious if this, the reindeer were actual cats. That would be like a nice little level up here. So, okay, so first off, I want to recap here. Anyone can write their own extension. This is just an extension that's on GitHub. It will be added here. So for instance, if I search vision, you also can also have things here, right? Anyone can write one. It's fully open to anyone and everyone. So, okay, the next piece I wanted to show here is I actually just did this little social post here where I found that I kept trying to have Gemini CLI and all of my AIs of choice write like me. So this is everything from creating a report to writing social posts to everything in between. I would constantly ask it, hey, can you keep my tone, my style? Can you write like I write? And so I tried to say, can Gemini CLI help fix this for me? And so another extension is the workspace extension. It's the Google Workspace extension, workspace right here. And for this, I went ahead and I actually asked it thoroughly analyze my sent emails, chat, everything in between, and create a system instruction for me, which I thought was actually pretty cool. And it did a really, really good job. I can't actually do this fully on stream, but I'll start the prompt. Should I start? I'm not going to I don't want to actually leak anything that I shouldn't leak. So I want to do this on stream, but instead, let me actually pull over here my Gemini MD. We talked a lot about Gemini MD files, and one of the things that you can actually have is you can have a Gemini MD file that sits at your user profile level. And this is mine. And so it has a whole bunch of things here, which I personally like to include, which is here's how I write commit messages. Here's some other details of how things are installed. But specifically for this one, I have this. When asked to keep your tone, like whenever I ask to keep your tone or style, I actually have it curl this GitHub gist. And I have it pull it in. And so I'm going to show this. Here we go. Let's go ahead and this one. Okay. And so for here, we now have a system instructions for Taylor Mullen, right? Kind of crazy. So for this, it has a core persona. It gives little details about my vocabulary and my phrasing, sentence structure, formatting and visuals, some scenarios, Taylorisms. I love this one.
Wow, these Taylorisms are pretty funny.
Yeah, I actually use this a lot. This is very, very illegitimate. Saying,
I love that,
strategic
but you need like 6 M's.
Yeah, it's very true. I love adding the same
And
letter over and
ship
over
it. Love it.
Yeah, and ship it. Exactly. So
this is
there's so
such a
many things here.
cool setup.
Thank you. Yeah, I've
One
loved
thing
it,
that-
honestly. It's been so cool.
Yeah, one thing that I saw people talking about the context engineering actually was kind of keeping like rules and knowledge separate. So you're really demonstrating this of your Gemini instructions has here's like the baseline of how to communicate about stuff, but when you need to send a message, here's the instructions or like the deeper knowledge, and it doesn't always need to go and get that. It can go and get that when it needs to, and like you're managing the appropriate amount of information for each prompt, which is really smart.
Yeah, and because that's the thing. It's like when the feedback I always love to give about prompting is less is always more, right? And this is a good example of that. Is when I want it to speak like me, that's when I wanted to have this information. When I don't, it doesn't need to have all this information, right? So having that kind of GitHub link, and to be frank, there was a person on the team who recommended this approach. Prior to this, I just had it in my Gemini MD file. So Gal on the team said, hey, why don't you just have that in a GitHub gist? I'm like, that's such a smart idea. And so I think I just recently changed this as well.
So now Amit and I are just going to start talking like you in all of our emails. I think that'll...
No, so I was gonna say, like,
I love it.
anytime I message Taylor, he responds instantly. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You know, the workspace extension does let you send chat messages. Funny enough, and we have explored doing that. So it's not that far out of the possibilities.
Am I actually talking to Taylor?
We'll find out. VO. This is all of VO going on right now.
I love it. This is super cool. I feel like you just all showed us some major hacks. But I think one of the top ones that we've seen today is the fact that you can create your own custom extension. So I think if anyone wants to create an extension, what's the best way for people to get started? And you can share it with others, internal to your teams or even externally. So what do you recommend for folks wanting to get started there?
So we have a great getting started page, and we have GeminiCLI.com/docs is the kind of like, it's the entry point for everything Gemini CLI. So this is everything from writing an extension to actually using the product to everything in between. I mentioned we have like 100 to 150 features, enhancements, etc. every single week. It's really hard to keep up with it, but it's super powerful, super customizable, and you can tailor it for every single one of your workflows. So for those who want to get started with it, definitely check out GeminiCLI.com and our docs page. And start creating those GitHub repos. Start going ahead and sharing those extensions. And by the way, you can also have them as local folders if you just want to experiment with yourself, because you have to go ahead and have some sort of developer-friendly approach to creating these. But yeah, that's probably the best way to get started.
All right, one question from the audience before we wrap up. David asks, what advantages does the native CLI provide compared to anti-gravity, and is there an efficient way for both tools to work together seamlessly to improve production workflows in vibe code programming?
Yeah, I think this is a great question, especially with the loom of anti-gravity over the past few weeks. So anti-gravity, for those who don't know, is a full IDE that has been released by Google. It's free to download and start using. So you can supercharge your development workflow using anti-gravity as an IDE, and it has Gemini 3 Pro baked in. So probably wondering, a lot of our workflows that we showed you, including mine, shows using VS Code with Gemini CLI. So how is that different, or how can it be used in tandem with anti-gravity? Well, Gemini CLI is really good for anything that includes code and also not code. You saw that with Taylor and Billy's demo, where they were both able to do things that weren't code specific. For example, Taylor, created or modified an image of himself, and Billy renamed and organized a lot of his directories. So Gemini CLI is really, really good at being able to dive into your operating system, all of your files, and be able to do things with respect to the context that it finds within your kind of operating system and file structure. So combining those two worlds, anti-gravity from a coding perspective, and then Gemini CLI, which can also code too, but to use for maybe as a personal assistant, if you will, can be a nice little unlock and hack.
Awesome stuff. Well, that's a perfect segue because next week we are live streaming all about Gemini 3 and anti-gravity. So you definitely don't want to miss that. We're going to have some awesome demos from the engineers who have built them directly. So thank you so much to all three of you, Taylor, Amit, Billy. I feel like we had a lot of fun holiday demos here. And I think we all have learned that we need to get Taylor a sweater ASAP.
Nana Banana can only do so much.
All right.
All right, and thank you to all the thousands of people who have tuned in live. We can't wait to see you all next week for DevSember. Again, we have this all month long. So thanks, everyone, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.